Ethan Voss stared out of the spaceship window at the swirling gas clouds of the Zethurian homeworld. It was unlike any planet he had ever seen. Vivid purple skies streaked with green lightning, massive floating islands that drifted above the surface, and enormous crystal towers that glimmered in the strange light. For a moment, he felt small, even insignificant. Humanity had come far in its exploration of the galaxy, but the Zethurians were in a league of their own. He adjusted his uniform and took a deep breath. Today was a diplomatic mission, but he already knew it would be more than that. The Zethurians were known for their tests, and he had heard rumors that they liked to humiliate those they deemed weak, and judging by the reception so far, it seemed the rumors were true. The shuttle doors hissed open, and a tall, armored Zethurian officer stepped inside. His three glowing eyes scanned Ethan from head to toe. "Captain Voss," the officer said, his voice deep and echoing in a way that made Ethan shiver. "The council awaits, and your gift." Ethan raised an eyebrow. "Gift?" The officer's eyes glimmered with amusement. "Yes. A companion, chosen specially for you. It is the best we could offer." From the corner of the chamber, a figure stumbled forward. Ethan blinked. The warrior sent to accompany him looked frail. Small in stature, with a slight build and a hesitant, almost nervous look on her face. Her armor was mismatched, scratched, and seemed far too big for her. She tripped over her own boots as she approached. The Zethurians laughed, deep, resonant laughs that echoed off the walls. Ethan felt a flash of anger rise. "You sent me this," he said, gesturing toward her. "As a warrior." One of the council members leaned forward. "Yes, she is our weakest. We thought you might find her amusing." Surely humans will enjoy the challenge of working with such a fragile creature. Ethan's jaw tightened. The humiliation was obvious, but he refused to show fear or anger. Diplomacy had taught him one thing: composure was more powerful than fury. "I'll make do," he said, his tone calm, though his hands clenched at his sides. The girl looked up at him, eyes wide and slightly terrified. She mumbled something in a language he didn't understand. A translator device instantly buzzed in his ear. "I am Kayla. I will serve you." Her voice was soft, almost timid. She didn't strike him as someone who could fight, let alone survive the challenges of the Zethurian trials. But there was a flicker of something in her eyes, something he couldn't identify. Determination, courage. He shrugged it off. He would soon see. The first test would come sooner than he expected. The council waved their hands, and a holographic map appeared in the center of the room. It displayed a massive arena floating in space, surrounded by spinning energy barriers and automated defense systems. "Your trial," the council explained, "is simple. Retrieve the core from the central platform. Do so, and you may earn our respect. Fail, and you will remain a curiosity for our amusement." Ethan's stomach tightened. The arena looked impossible. Energy beams crisscrossed the path, defense drones patrolled in unpredictable patterns, and the platform floated above a deep void. One wrong step and they could fall forever. He turned to Kayla. "You ready?" She hesitated, then nodded. I think so." Her voice trembled slightly, but there was a resolve behind it that surprised him. The shuttle carrying them descended toward the arena. Ethan studied the defenses carefully. He noted patterns in the drone movements and the timing of the energy beams. Most humans would panic in this situation, but he forced himself to stay calm. That was his advantage. Humans survived not because they were the strongest, but because they could think, adapt, and improvise. Kayla, for her part, kept close. She watched his every move, sometimes mimicking his gestures or whispering instructions. Ethan noticed that she had an unusual sense of timing. She predicted when the drones would turn, when the energy beams would pause, and even how to avoid hidden traps in the floor panels. He frowned. This weak warrior was intelligent, too intelligent, and agile. When a sudden burst of energy shot toward them, Kayla ducked and rolled with a grace he did not expect. The other humans in the shuttle gave her skeptical glances, whispering doubts. Ethan ignored them. "Stay focused," he said. "Strength isn't always physical." As the shuttle landed and the arena doors opened, a wave of fear washed over the participants. The crowd, an enormous assembly of Zithurian spectators, cheered and laughed, clearly expecting the humans to fail. Ethan felt a familiar surge of defiance. He was tired of underestimation. Humans were adaptable, clever, and resilient. They had survived worse than this. And with Kayla at his side, maybe, just maybe, they could surprise these aliens. The moment their feet touched the arena floor, the first obstacle appeared. A massive rolling sphere covered in spiked metal barreled toward them. Humans screamed and jumped aside. Kayla, however, ducked under it effortlessly, pushing Ethan to do the same. "You're fast," he said, slightly breathless. Kayla smiled faintly. "I've trained." "You must watch carefully. Speed alone won't save you." The next obstacle was even more dangerous. Energy beams crisscrossed a narrow pathway above a bottomless chasm. One misstep and they would fall. Ethan studied the timing carefully. Kayla surprisingly whispered instructions. "Wait, now, move." Ethan followed her lead. They moved in perfect synchronization. When the others stumbled, Kayla grabbed their hands, helping them regain balance. Ethan's respect for her grew with every step. By the time they reached the halfway point, Ethan realized something important. Kayla wasn't weak at all. She was underestimated. And the Zithurians' laughter no longer seemed threatening, it was a challenge. Kayla turned to him, breathing heavily but smiling. "We can do this, Captain. They may think we're weak, but they don't understand humans." Ethan nodded. "They'll soon learn. Let's show them what we're capable of." And with that, the arena doors shifted, revealing the next trial. A massive wall of shifting platforms, each moving unpredictably, with drones ready to push intruders into the abyss. The crowd gasped. Many whispered that no human could survive this stage. Ethan glanced at Kayla. She grinned, confident. For the first time in hours, he felt a spark of hope. Maybe the Zithurians were wrong about humans after all. The first step onto the shifting platforms was terrifying. The ground moved beneath them like a living creature. One platform tipped, nearly throwing Ethan off, but Kayla grabbed his arm and steadied him. "Trust me," she said, and he did. Step by step, they navigated the deadly wall. Every move required calculation, timing, and courage. And with each successful step, the laughter from the crowd faded. Some even gasped in surprise. By the time they reached the other side, sweat pouring from their faces and hearts pounding, Ethan realized something he hadn't expected. This girl, this weak warrior, had saved his life more times than he could count. The Zithurians, once laughing, now watched silently. A few whispered among themselves, clearly reevaluating their judgment of humans. Kayla turned to Ethan, still smiling despite the exhaustion. "I told you humans are clever." Ethan laughed, a deep, relieved sound. "Yeah, and I think they're about to find that out the hard way." As they exited the arena, the council members exchanged glances. This was just the beginning. The humans had survived part one, but the Zithurians had far more dangerous trials waiting. Ethan knew one thing for sure. With Kayla by his side, he was ready for anything. And the universe was about to see why humans should never be underestimated. The sun, or at least the closest equivalent on Zithuria, cast a green glow over the floating arena as Ethan and Kayla stepped onto solid ground. Sweat dripped down their faces, but neither seemed willing to slow down. The first trial had tested their speed, timing, and courage. But Ethan knew the Zithurians had something far more complex in store. Kayla walked beside him, moving with a confidence she hadn't shown before the arena. "You were good," she said softly. "But the next stage, it will be harder." Ethan glanced at her. "Harder than nearly getting crushed by rolling spikes and dodging energy beams." Kayla smirked faintly. "Yes, the first trial tested your reflexes. The next will test your mind and your ability to work together." They entered a dimly lit chamber filled with enormous holographic panels that floated in midair. Each panel displayed a complex alien symbol or a three-dimensional maze, constantly shifting and rearranging itself. Ethan frowned. "What is this?" Kayla's eyes sparkled. "This is a puzzle trial. You must solve the patterns to open the gates ahead. One wrong move and you could be trapped, or worse." The Zithurian observers hovered above on floating platforms, their three glowing eyes following every human move. Ethan sensed their amusement. They expected humans to panic or fail quickly. "Okay," he muttered, "let's figure this out." Kayla moved closer to the holograms and began touching them in a precise pattern. Instantly, panels shifted, forming a path forward. "Watch the patterns," she said. "They're not random." The Zithurians repeat sequences, but they hide them under layers. Humans can see patterns others might ignore. Ethan studied her movements carefully. "So we have to read the pattern, not just react," Kayla nodded. "Exactly, and you must trust me." He hesitated only a moment before following her lead. With her guidance, they navigated through the shifting holograms, solving the puzzles faster than any other participant. The other humans stumbled, frustrated by the alien logic, but Ethan's team stayed focused. By the time they reached the end of the chamber, Ethan felt a new respect for Kayla. She wasn't weak. She was brilliant, and her intelligence combined with human adaptability was already starting to make them a formidable team. Outside the chamber, the Zithurians gathered for a brief discussion. Ethan overheard a few mutterings. "Interesting. Humans may not be as weak as we thought." Kayla glanced at him, whispering, "They are underestimating you and us. Use it." "Humans have one advantage aliens rarely expect: creativity." Ethan nodded, absorbing the lesson. He remembered humanity's history, how humans had survived disasters, disease, and enemies far stronger than themselves. Creativity, improvisation, and courage had always been humanity's greatest weapons. As they moved toward the next trial, Kayla began to open up. "Captain, I have to tell you something," she said quietly. "I'm not just a warrior. I was sent here for a reason. My people, the Zithurian royal family, we've watched humans for decades. You're interesting to us, and I want to help you succeed." Ethan paused, his curiosity piqued. "Help me? Why? And why pretend to be weak?" Kayla looked down at her boots. "I was supposed to be a distraction. The council expected you to fail with me by your side, but I admire humans. You survive against impossible odds. You think differently. You adapt. And I don't want to see you fail just for their amusement." Ethan processed her words. A Zithurian princess disguised as a weak warrior had been assigned to him, and she wanted to aid humanity. His mind raced. This changed everything. "All right," he said finally. "Then we need a strategy. The next trial, it won't just test our minds or speed. It will test everything: strength, endurance, teamwork, and intelligence." Kayla nodded. "Yes, the trial is called the Gauntlet of Shadows. You will face illusions, shifting terrain, and enemies designed to trick your senses. Only by thinking and acting together can we survive." Ethan felt a thrill of excitement mixed with tension. Humans had survived against worse, but the Zithurians were truly dangerous. And yet, with Kayla's guidance, he felt a surge of confidence. They arrived at the gauntlet. The arena was massive, stretching farther than the eye could see, with mist curling along the floor and dark shapes moving in the shadows. Strange glowing symbols floated in the air, casting eerie light across the landscape. "Stay close," Kayla warned. "The shadows will try to separate us. They prey on fear and confusion." Ethan took her hand briefly, gripping it tightly. "I'm ready." The trial began. Instantly, the ground beneath them shifted. Platforms rose and fell unpredictably, while shadowy figures darted in the mist. Some appeared human, others monstrous, all moving to block their path. Ethan quickly realized that the illusions were designed to provoke panic. A normal human would run, freeze, or strike randomly, but he had trained for unpredictability. "Focus," Kayla whispered. Trust your instincts, not your eyes. Watch for patterns. Together, they moved in sync. Kayla predicted the illusion's moves, guiding Ethan through corridors that seemed impossible. Occasionally, a shadow would grab at him, but Kayla's timing saved him every time. Her insight into the Zethurians' tactics was uncanny. Halfway through the gauntlet, a massive illusion loomed, a towering figure resembling a fearsome Zethurian warrior, its eyes glowing red. It charged at them. Ethan froze for a split second, but Kayla pushed him aside, rolling to the side. "It's not real," she shouted. "Use the environment." Ethan noticed the platforms above them shifting rhythmically. He grabbed Kayla's hand and leapt, using the moving surfaces to outmaneuver the giant illusion. With a series of calculated jumps and swift thinking, they reached safety. They paused for a moment, breathing heavily. Ethan looked at Kayla with awe. "You're amazing. Why hide it?" Kayla smiled faintly. "Sometimes, hiding your strength teaches others to underestimate you, and sometimes it teaches you how to trust someone else." As they pressed forward, the final obstacle appeared, a puzzle locked by a series of symbols that constantly shifted positions. Without Kayla's guidance, Ethan would have struggled endlessly, but she whispered instructions, her fingers moving over the symbols with precision. Slowly, the puzzle unlocked, and a massive door slid open. They had completed the gauntlet. Ethan looked back at the shadows, then at Kayla. "We did it," he said, smiling despite exhaustion. Kayla nodded. "We survived together, and the council is watching." Indeed, above the arena, the Zethurian observers were silent, their expressions unreadable. But Ethan could feel the shift in energy. The laughter and scorn had faded. Now, curiosity and respect replaced it. Humans were no longer just prey, they were competitors. As they exited the gauntlet, Kayla finally revealed more about herself. "Captain, I will continue to help you," she said, "but you must promise me something. Humans must never forget that thinking, courage, and teamwork are more powerful than raw strength. That is the secret to surviving and winning." Ethan nodded. "I promise. And I think the universe is about to see just how strong humans can be." Kayla glanced toward the horizon, where a massive floating platform glimmered in the green light. "The final trials are coming, and they will be unlike anything you've faced." Ethan's heart raced. He had survived one trial, now faced another, and with Kayla at his side, he felt unstoppable. The Zethurians might have thought they had prepared a joke, sending their weakest warrior. But she had become his strongest ally, and together, humans and Zethurians alike would soon learn that underestimating humanity was a grave mistake. And as they walked forward, Ethan realized that this was just the beginning. The universe was wide, strange, and full of challenges, but with Kayla's skills and human ingenuity, they could face anything. The stars themselves seemed to call, daring them to prove the true strength of humanity. The morning sun, or its greenish equivalent, shimmered across the floating platforms of the Zethurian trials. Ethan and Kayla had survived the gauntlet of shadows, a challenge that had tested both their minds and courage. But Ethan knew the council would not stop at mental puzzles and illusions. The next trial would test their full potential, strength, strategy, and teamwork under pressure. "Captain," Kayla said softly as they walked toward the next arena, "this is the arena of elements. Every element you can imagine, fire, water, wind, electricity, will challenge you. The Zethurians combine it with advanced traps and their elite warriors. This trial is where many have failed." Ethan's eyes widened. "All elements at once sounds impossible." Kayla smiled faintly. "Impossible is only a word. We will survive if we think differently." The arena doors opened, revealing a massive circular field floating high above the planet's surface. 4 quadrants marked the areas of fire, water, air, and energy. Lava flowed in one section, torrents of water surged in another, gusts of wind swirled in a third, and crackling energy arcs danced unpredictably in the last. Between each element were pathways lined with pressure-sensitive tiles, shifting platforms, and Zethurian guards armed with advanced weapons. The audience, an enormous assembly of Zethurians, cheered and laughed, clearly confident humans would fail. Ethan felt the familiar heat of determination. His hands clenched into fists. Humans had survived worse than this, and this time they had an ally who understood the aliens better than anyone else. "All right," he muttered, "let's do this." Kayla nodded, her eyes scanning the arena. "We need a plan. Fire first, it's aggressive and fast. Water second, heavy and unpredictable. Wind after that requires precision. Energy last, timing is everything. Follow me closely." Together, they stepped onto the first quadrant. Lava roared beneath them, the ground cracking with every movement. Zethurian guards patrolled, and enormous flames shot up from the floor at irregular intervals. Ethan felt the heat against his armor, but Kayla moved like a shadow, nimble and precise. She ducked, jumped, and pulled him along, guiding him through narrow, safe zones. "You can do this," she said, her voice calm. "Humans adapt, remember that." Ethan focused, remembering her advice. He analyzed the pattern of the flames and tiles, improvising a path slightly different from Kayla's. The flames adjusted unpredictably, but his human intuition allowed him to anticipate a shift the aliens hadn't predicted. Kayla glanced at him mid-leap. "Good thinking. Keep it up." By the time they reached the end of the fire quadrant, Ethan realized something crucial. Humans weren't stronger than the Zethurians physically, but their ability to improvise under pressure gave them an edge that even elite warriors couldn't predict. Next came water. Massive waves crashed around them, trying to sweep them into the abyss. Pressure tiles beneath their feet moved with the rhythm of the waves, requiring precise timing to cross. A Zethurian guard lunged at Ethan, but Kayla grabbed his arm, spinning him out of harm's way. "Trust me," she said. "Don't fight the waves, move with them." Ethan nodded, and together they flowed with the water, leaping and sliding across the shifting tiles. Each move required careful calculation and human instinct. Other humans stumbled and fell, but Ethan and Kayla reached the edge, soaked but unharmed. Wind came next. Gusts howled, shifting platforms tipped dangerously, and invisible fans tried to push them off. Ethan almost lost his balance when a platform swung violently, but Kayla's grip held him steady. "You've learned quickly," she said, smiling. "Humans can adapt faster than most Zethurians expect." Ethan felt a surge of pride. Every challenge so far had required him to think, adapt, and trust his ally. Kayla's training and insight into Zethurian tactics made them unstoppable. Finally, they faced the energy quadrant. Sparks danced across the floor, and lightning shot unpredictably from the walls. Timing and precision were critical. Ethan studied the arcs carefully. Kayla whispered guidance, directing him step by step. They leapt across moving platforms, ducked under lightning strikes, and avoided traps with near-perfect timing. Halfway through, a massive Zethurian warrior appeared, blocking their path. The crowd gasped. Ethan froze, expecting disaster, but Kayla stepped forward. "Don't fight him head-on," she said. "Use the environment. The energy arcs can be redirected." Ethan quickly understood. He ran toward a platform, drawing the warrior's attention, while Kayla manipulated the energy patterns, bouncing lightning arcs toward the Zethurian guard. The warrior yelped, shielding himself, giving Ethan and Kayla the opening to slip past. As they reached the end of the arena, the crowd fell silent. For the first time, the Zethurians were not laughing. They were shocked. Humans had survived the arena of elements, using intelligence, courage, and teamwork to overcome challenges no one expected them to endure. Kayla turned to Ethan, her expression serious. "Captain, you've done more than survive. You've shown them that humans are not weak. You've turned their expectations upside down." Ethan felt a surge of pride, but he also noticed something. The Zethurians' whispers weren't just surprise, they were fear. Humans were not just participants anymore. They were a force to be reckoned with. "Let's not celebrate yet," he said. "The final trial is coming. It will be the most dangerous of all. Kayla nodded. Yes. It's the trial of the core. You will face the Council's elite warriors, traps, and the final test of intelligence and endurance. Only by combining everything you've learned can you hope to succeed. As they rested briefly before the next trial, Kayla revealed more about herself. Captain, I am the princess of my people. I was sent as a weak warrior to test you, but I chose to help you. Humans inspire me. Your ability to survive, to think, to adapt, it is remarkable. You have a potential my people rarely see. Ethan's eyes widened. A princess. You risked everything by helping me, Kayla nodded. Yes, and I will continue to help you, but now everyone will watch closely. You must use every skill, every instinct. Humans must show the Zethurians that we are not weak. The trial of the core began with a sudden alarm. Massive gates opened, revealing a heavily fortified platform in the distance. Energy shields, drones, and elite Zethurian warriors protected it. The goal was simple: retrieve the core and return safely. The challenge was deadly. Ethan and Kayla ran forward, dodging traps and coordinating every step. They used Kayla's knowledge of the Zethurian defenses, combined with Ethan's ability to improvise. At one point, a drone swooped down, firing energy blasts. Ethan ducked, rolled, and used a broken piece of machinery as a shield, deflecting the blasts. Kayla leapt across, landing gracefully, and helped him to the next platform. The elite warriors attacked with precision, but Kayla anticipated their moves, directing Ethan to outmaneuver them. Don't fight them directly, she shouted. Use their own patterns against them. Ethan realized something incredible. By combining human creativity with Kayla's insider knowledge, they were turning the Zethurian strengths into weaknesses. Every move was calculated, every risk measured, but executed with a confidence that even the Council couldn't ignore. Finally, they reached the core. Ethan grabbed it, feeling its energy hum through his hands. The return path was dangerous, but they moved swiftly, avoiding the remaining traps and warriors. Every step required teamwork, trust, and quick thinking. When they finally emerged from the arena, the crowd erupted, but not with laughter. With stunned silence and whispers of disbelief, the Zethurians watched as humans and a weak warrior had conquered the most dangerous trials in their history. Kayla smiled at Ethan. You've done it, not just survived, but turned the tables. Humans are no longer underestimated. Ethan grinned, exhausted but triumphant. We did it together, and the universe might finally start respecting us. Above them, the Council exchanged looks of shock. The underestimation of humans had been a grave mistake, and the princess who had disguised herself as weak had become their strongest ally, proving that intelligence, courage, and teamwork could defeat even the most advanced alien forces. Ethan looked at Kayla, admiration shining in his eyes. You weren't weak at all, you were the key. Kayla shook her head, smiling. No, Captain, you were the key. Humans think differently. You adapt, you survive, you inspire. That is why we won. And with that, Ethan realized something profound. The Zethurians had tried to mock them, but they had underestimated the true strength of humanity. The trials were not over, but one truth was clear. Humans were no longer the underdogs. They were a force the galaxy had to reckon with. The stars above seemed to shimmer with new possibilities. And together, Ethan and Kayla were ready to face whatever came next. The sky above the Zethurian arena shimmered with strange colors, reflecting off the floating platforms and crystal towers. Ethan and Kayla stood at the edge of the final challenge, their armor battered, faces streaked with sweat, but their spirits unbroken. They had survived the trials of speed, mind, and elements. Now only one trial remained, the Council's ultimate challenge, a test of intelligence, strength, endurance, and strategy combined. Kayla turned to Ethan, her green eyes serious. Captain, this is it. The Council has designed this trial to be nearly impossible. Elite warriors, deadly traps, and alien technology all combine here, but we've come too far to fail now. Ethan nodded, feeling a surge of determination. We've faced impossible before. This is just another impossible we're going to overcome. They stepped into the arena. A massive platform stretched out before them, floating high above the planet's surface. Energy shields flickered, towers bristling with weapons rose from the floor, and patrolling Zithurian warriors blocked every path. At the center, suspended in a glowing chamber, was the core of Zithurian power, the object of the trial. Retrieving it would prove their skill and strength, but failure meant certain capture or worse. The crowd of Zithurians watched eagerly. Many whispered among themselves, still in disbelief over the humans' previous victories. Some were angry, others fascinated. No one expected what was about to happen. Kayla whispered a plan. We need to divide and confuse them. We cannot fight every warrior directly. You draw attention. I manipulate the traps and energy fields. Follow my lead exactly. Ethan trusted her completely now. Every trial had taught him to rely on her instincts and knowledge of Zithurian tactics. Let's do it, he said, gripping his weapon tightly. The first obstacle was a series of shifting platforms suspended above the void. Zithurian guards patrolled, scanning for intruders. Ethan sprinted forward, leaping from platform to platform, drawing the guards' attention. Kayla followed, guiding him, manipulating the energy field so they would mislead their pursuers. Left, she shouted. Now, Ethan twisted midair, landing safely as a guard stumbled into a redirected energy arc. The human instinct to improvise, combined with Kayla's insider knowledge, gave them the edge. Next came a maze of rotating walls, each embedded with traps. Pressure plates triggered lasers, while swinging energy blades moved unpredictably. Ethan's heart pounded as he navigated the maze. Kayla whispered instructions, moving with grace and precision. Watch the left wall, it swings faster than the right, she warned. Ethan followed, barely avoiding the swinging blades. Each step was tense, every movement required perfect timing. Humans weren't naturally stronger than Zithurians, but their ability to analyze, improvise, and adapt under pressure was unmatched. Halfway through, a Zithurian commander confronted them. Massive and heavily armored, he blocked their path, his weapon crackling with energy. Ethan froze for a moment, but Kayla grabbed his arm. Don't fight him directly, she whispered. Use the environment, look for openings, not strength. Ethan noticed a nearby energy conduit sparking irregularly. With a quick plan, he dashed toward it, dodging the commander's attacks. Kayla followed, triggering the conduit to discharge, stunning the warrior. The path was clear. You're learning fast, Kayla said, a faint smile on her face. Humans surprise everyone because you never give up. Ethan grinned. And you've taught me how to turn the impossible into possible. They pressed on, now facing the final stretch, a suspended walkway leading to the core of Zithurian power. Energy barriers shifted in unpredictable patterns, and elite Zithurian warriors guarded every inch. Ethan's heart raced, but he felt a strange calm. Each trial had prepared him for this moment. Kayla whispered, we must combine everything we've learned: strategy, timing, trust. Humans are clever, that's our weapon. Ethan nodded. Together they moved. Ethan's movements were precise, adapted to every shift in the barriers. Kayla manipulated the energy fields remotely, creating openings for them to pass safely. The Zithurian guards lunged, but each attempt was countered by their quick thinking. Halfway across the walkway, Kayla stopped suddenly. Wait, she said. The council is testing more than skill. They want to see if humans can inspire loyalty and courage. Look around. Ethan followed her gaze. Several humans who had previously stumbled were frozen, terrified by the elite warriors. Without hesitation, Kayla shouted, "Follow us. We can survive together." Her confidence, combined with Ethan's decisive leadership, inspired the other humans. Slowly they rallied, moving forward with renewed determination. The Zithurian warriors, expecting chaos and panic, were thrown off by this sudden display of human teamwork. "Now!" Kayla shouted. They sprinted across the final section, dodging energy blasts and leaping over gaps. Ethan reached the core first, grabbing it. The chamber hummed with powerful energy, but Kayla steadied him, ensuring they didn't trigger any additional traps. With the core in hand, the return path was treacherous. Guards blocked every exit, but Ethan remembered Kayla's lessons. Use the environment, trust instincts, and adapt continuously. He led the group, Kayla manipulating the energy fields to create openings, until they finally reached the edge of the arena. The crowd erupted, not with laughter this time, but with astonished silence, followed by whispers of disbelief. Humans, who had been mocked and underestimated, had not only survived every trial but had outsmarted Zithurian defenses and elite warriors. Kayla turned to Ethan, her expression serious. "Captain, we've done more than survive. We've changed their perception. Humans are no longer seen as weak." Ethan looked around at the amazed crowd, then at Kayla. "We did it together. And we've shown them that creativity, courage, and teamwork can beat strength alone." At that moment, the Zithurian council approached. Their expressions were unreadable, but their silence spoke volumes. The humans and their weak warrior had completed the ultimate challenge, a feat the council had not expected. Kayla stepped forward and removed her helmet, revealing her true identity. The crowd gasped. The princess herself had aided humanity, guiding them through every trial, proving that they were worthy allies. "I am Kayla," she announced, her voice clear and commanding. "You have underestimated these humans. They are clever, adaptable, and courageous. They deserve respect, not ridicule. I stand with them." The council murmured among themselves, clearly shocked by the revelation. One elder finally spoke. "It seems we misjudged humans. They possess qualities we rarely see. Intelligence, courage, and teamwork, they are formidable indeed." Ethan stepped forward, holding the core. "We came to your world as guests. You tested us, mocked us, and expected us to fail. But we have shown that humans can rise to any challenge. We adapt, we think, and we never give up." The council nodded solemnly. Respect replaced mockery. The trials were no longer games, had become a demonstration of humanity's true potential. Kayla smiled at Ethan. "Captain, this is more than a victory. It is the beginning. Humans have shown strength the universe must recognize." Ethan grinned. "And we'll keep proving it together." As they left the arena, the Zithurians whispered among themselves. Humans had survived the impossible. A princess had allied herself with them. The galaxy had a new understanding. Never underestimate humanity. Ethan looked up at the stars, his heart pounding with excitement and pride. Kayla walked beside him, a reminder that true allies could come from unexpected places. Together, they had faced impossible odds, and won. The trials were over, but the adventure was only beginning. Humanity had earned its place in the galaxy, and with Kayla as their ally, they were ready to face any challenge that lay beyond the stars. And as the twin suns of Zithuria set on the horizon, Ethan realized something profound. Humans were no longer underdogs. They were a force the universe would never forget. They gave him their weakest warrior as a joke. The alien princess became his strongest ally.